Welcome back to Build a Lot Acres. I'm Case.
And I'm Brett.
And in today's video is going to be part 2 of the firewood series.
Stay tuned.
So last time we discussed 5 different species of firewood that are native to New England and some of the different characteristics and features. Today's video is going to be more the heavy hitting firewoods. So there's going to be 5 more species we're going to discuss. These are going to be higher BTUs than the other ones, and these are really the heavy hitting favorites of a New England firewood burner. So first up, we're going to talk about rock maple, sometimes called sugar maple. So unlike the red maple we discussed in the first part, rock maple or sugar maple is a hard maple. It's much denser, it's harder to cut, harder to split, but it also lasts a lot longer. It throws more heat, higher BTUs. It's about a 2-year seasoning wood, and it's one of my personal favorites. But unfortunately, even though I have 21 acres here, I don't think I have a single sugar maple on my property. I have cut and burned a lot of it over the years, but it's not as common to my property as it is in a lot of New England, but it is very common here in the New England area. So I would say it's probably in my top 3. So next up, we're going to be talking about white oak. Now we're going to have 2 different oaks today we're going to discuss, white oak and red oak. Now both oaks have a lot in common. They take forever and a day to season, usually a good 3 years, sometimes up to 4 full years to season to below 20%. But once you get them seasoned, they're one of the best burning firewoods you're going to have. They leave some nice coals, they throw a ton of heat, they have high BTUs. White oak is actually a hair higher than red oak as far as BTUs. I believe white oak is around 26 million BTUs per cord, give or take, whereas the red oak is more like 23 to 24 million BTUs per cord. But the white oak has a much finer bark. It almost looks kind of flaky, almost like a hickory bark. And you'll notice sometimes when you split open the white oak, it has kind of a whiskey smell to it. It's much more distinct than the red oak. The red oak, a lot of people think smells bad when they split. I personally don't find that. I don't mind it. But the white oak has more of a... Done? Anyone want a rooster? So the white oak, as I was saying before Zeus interrupted us 15 times, the white oak has a much more unique smell. So next up is its brother, red oak. And I should have just mentioned, the white oak does split a little bit harder than the red oak. But the red oak is probably one of the easiest splitting woods you're going to find. It's very straight grained. You can split it very easily into nice square pieces, or you can split it in any shape you want, where some of the woods, you're kind of stuck with where the grain goes. The red oak is not like that. You can split it into any shape you want. It's easy to split, easy to process. One of the biggest downsides, like I said about the white oak, is the length of time it takes to season. A lot of people don't want to wait 3 years because they don't have the space in their property, and people that burn it after a year don't get the quality of burn that they would if they waited the 3 years. So it kind of gets a bad rap in certain instances. But it's probably one of the most common hardwoods across the U.S., and that's no different for here in New England. Yep. We have a ton of red oak. It grows really large, so you could easily get 3, 4, 5 foot diameter trees and get 3 or 4 or 5 cords out of one tree. I've done it many times in the past, and it's probably my most common wood that I have that I burn. Not so much that it's my favorite, it's just the one I get the most accessibility to. So keep red oak on your list. Next up, we're going to be talking about elm. Now there's a few different types of elm. There's slippery elm, the Siberian elm. Elm tree gets a really bad rap for good reason. It splits. Shut up! Elm gets a bad rap because it splits really hard. It's one of the toughest splitting woods, other than maybe some gums and different types like that. Unless you go to like Australia, they have some really hard splitting woods. But here in the US, elm is one of the hardest splitting woods. It's very stringy. It splits apart tough. If you're hand splitting, forget about it. Don't even bother with elm. Honestly, it's too much work. Unless you keep this tip in mind. If you wait until the tree's dead, if you find dead standing elm, which you're going to be able to tell. If you can find dead standing elm, which you can tell because the bark will fall off, then it's much easier to split. It's much easier to get it processed, and it's not too bad with a mechanical splitter. It has high BTUs, it burns good, it leaves good coals, but honestly, it's probably one of my least favorite woods. I don't go after it. I only have this because I got some black locust and it was in the same area. It was already cut up into logs, so I just processed it, but I would not go out of my way to get elm. Some people only want to burn elm, so it's all going to be dependent on how much accessibility you have to it and what other choices you have. So let's talk about the last firewood species in this two-part series. And that's going to be black locust.
And I do believe this is my father's single favorite type of wood, if I'm not wrong.
Well, honestly, to be completely honest, I didn't even hardly know about black locust until not that long ago. I'm a member of some different forums regarding firewood, and I kept hearing about black locust, how great it was. So I finally got some access to some, and I actually haven't burned any yet. So this will be my first year. This coming season will be my first time burning black locust, but I'm really excited to try it. Some things I do know about it is it's almost like a vine. It's not even a tree. It looks like an overgrown vine. You tend to see it on like the sides of highways and in industrial areas. It seems to be much more resilient and quicker growing too. It's a very fast growing tree. It has bigger rings and it grows quick compared to some of the other species. I believe the BTU rating is one of the highest. It's somewhere in the 26 to 27 million BTU per cord, and it's got a very unique bark pattern. It's very thick, it kind of interwoven, almost looks like a spider web type design, but it has a unique smell to it. I can't even explain it. It's almost like a kind of like a pungent gardening smell. I don't know how to say it, but like I said, I'm excited to try it. I would say it's very I would say it's splitting. I would say it splits medium. It's not nearly splitting easy like red oak, but it's not super tough like the elm. I would say it's maybe a mid-grade as far as splitting. And from everything I've read, it's 1.5 to 2 years to season, so comparable to most other hardwoods. But the thing I have noticed is I've probably cut 2 or 3 cords of locust this year, and depending on where you cut it, some of it looks gray, some of it looks brown, some of it looks green. A lot of it tends to have moss growing in the bark, which is a telltale sign. But even the wood itself can look different colors. Some of it's a dark, rich brown, some of it's more of a lighter coffee color, some of it's more of a yellowish green. So it can kind of fool you. You don't even think you're dealing with the same species of wood because it can look so different. You don't even think you're dealing with the same species of wood because it can look so different. But so that's going to be it for the video. I hope you enjoyed this 2-part series. I hope you learned something, and please stay tuned for future firewood videos, and please go back and look at previous videos. We have quite a few videos out on different things for firewood, as far as storing firewood, types of firewood, why burn firewood, all that kind of stuff. So thanks for watching.
already.
I think Cole's gonna be quiet. Only one of us is coming out of here alive. It ain't gonna be you.
You can hear him laughing.